So this is about my relationship with the wall once again, right? So if you start this game and you played other fighting games, you probably don't like the wall that much. Unless you play a character that really likes being in neutral, or a character that gets like bullied to hell, like, you know, like your grapplers of the world and stuff generally, then you probably don't like the wall. Because what happens in this game is that if you do too much damage to the wall, every time you hit your opponent, you do damage to the wall. If you do too much damage to the wall breaks. So as a quick example, this is what happens when you do a combo in this game, and then you break the wall, just like this. When you break the wall, though, you get some small benefits. So when you break the wall, especially with super, it's really noticeable. Your opponent that got hit by the super is closer to the corner than normal. At the beginning of the round, they're like here. Notice how it takes me a little while to get there. So look how fast I get to the corner here in comparison. Boom, like that. They're really close to the corner, so you have some pretty good advantage, like positioning thing. Of course, it's a hard knockdown, so you can do stuff like the opponent isn't gonna roll and get up really quick. You also get positive bonus, so this means you do a little bit more damage, and you also passively gain meter gain. By extension, you may get sequences that you would not get normally because your meter is constantly building. Even characters that don't build meter quickly, like Milia and Chip, can take advantage of this situation. So, after a while playing the game, I was kind of like, you know what? I fuck with the wall. Like, I fuck with it. I like the wall. You know, Milia gets a damage buff, she gets meter that she doesn't normally have access to. This is cool. But over time, more recently, like I would say in the past month, the wall had once again, I went full circle, the wall became my enemy again. So what happened? I accepted the game for what it is, right? This game, you break the wall. If you break the wall of meter, you get a knockdown. If you don't break the wall of meter, you go back to neutral. I'm like, hey, my neutral is good. Milia's neutral is good. I can get back in. I'll have all this meter to do stuff. But I noticed some problems while playing more. Maybe there'll be some people who hate on the game who'll be like, duh, this seems mad obvious. You're like half guessing because you never play with the positive bonus advantage, which is actually pretty good. It honestly is pretty good. So I have made with like 20-ish% here, so I'm gonna do a little combo. Okay. So this is like the B&B. So I just gave Mei 30 meters. So even though I get the hard knockdown, she gets access to YRC. She will have super available for the characters who have DPs. They'll have DPRC, which is really strong. That's problem number one I was having. Problem number two I was having, I'm gonna do the whole combo again. Is actually where you land. So Milia is not really, like you have this, but like as a safe jump, but that positioning is actually not that great for her. Her air dash, she can act faster than other characters. Most characters just get a nice safe jump and get to pull up right away. But she can't quite get there that quickly, which I found to be an issue. So between giving the opponent meter and not being able to take advantage of the down a lot, I found myself not feeling too powerful in this position. So I started doing something that SQ recommended, which was actually ending my combo a little bit earlier, to the point where I eventually ended on this, and I'll do like a high-low of this. This is right before the wall breaks. So the logic here is that if this reset, even though I am going to break the wall, I'm doing more damage than I would have if I broke the wall right away. I'll have a little bit more resource. And then there are also times, especially if you watch me play a lot, where I would break the wall and keep the meter. I want defensive options if I need it, like BRC, YRC. I want to be able to get away from stuff. I want to be able to do things with meter while I'm positive as well. So I started doing that for a while. So recently, I've kind of been back on the wall is my enemy. How does this affect everybody? So recently, people have been kind of doing sequences where they will loop a wall splat situation. So I kind of have to show this, because this will sound really weird if you don't know this system. Let's take this. So let's say I chug up the wall, right? So she's up in the air. So when you're on the wall, you can hold forward, nothing, or up, and your character will go flying up, forward, or in place. By the way, if you play Eno or play against Eno players, you've probably already seen this. There's a way to actually get characters to not fly off the wall. Okay, so here, I didn't do the JK right, but basically, here, they can't pick to go anywhere. They have to slump down. You don't do like a lot of damage, but you don't break the wall. You have an opportunity to build some meter on your own. You could do damage on your own, and you keep them in an advantageous place. For the most part, Eno is the best at this that I know off the top of my head. With Millia, this is really tricky to do. So this gives it to me, right? So you can get it off the high and the low, and you can repeat the situation. But with Millia, it's just kind of tough. She doesn't easily have access to a low option that also doesn't pop them up into the air like this. As players, you have a couple of options. If you play a mix-up character, you should probably be exploring ways to push this. Eno players have been doing this for like a few weeks now. Millia players have slowly been working on this because, again, setting up the low option is quite difficult for her. It's not impossible. Like, quite literally today, I found a way to do it off her B&B. There are other players like Alyun who are finding ways to do it off like pretty random hits from mid-screens. Like, that's pretty good. If you're a strike throw character, I already saw examples with Mei, for example. But with Mei, it's like, do you really have to? There are cases of, you know, the common example would be like, oh, what if you're playing against Axel? You don't want Axel to go back to mid-screen. But if you, for example, are Mei and you break the wall with super, so Mei can get here pretty easily. Like, no problem, right in there. She's immediately in there. She has pretty good strike throw. Basically, in this situation, it's like guess for game type thing. Like, if she grabs me, I'm probably dead. For her, you might not have to think about this like too much, besides against a couple of characters you might think. If you're a character that is a super neutral character, like Axel or something, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you probably just want to break the wall. To be fair, of course, breaking the wall super would be fine, and keeping them on the wall is fine, but I'm not really sure Axel's that type of character. So it really depends on your character. There's also another pretty important factor. One secret benefit of them in positive is that they have what I lovingly called from Exerd, fuck it RC. Right? So I used to call it in Exerd fuck it YRC. So what this is just some shit that's mega strong with meter, and you could just force your way in. So for example, Mei, legit. Right? So like you break the wall, let's just break the wall real quick. We're gonna let Millia get up, just for the sake of the example. But like just, I'm in, baby. Here's another example. This move, yeah, see, it's about 2/3 of the screen, right? So some characters, they don't have the thought that I have with Millia of like, Millia doesn't really have like a fuck it RC. She essentially has to work her way back in, or you could try that. Like, you can try it. Let's do one more example. So, of course, Souls is a little bit risky. Basically, some characters have things that they could just force their way in. And I would say, someone might say, hey, Night Raid Vortex is the same as Haircar, but the only reason I won't give you that is because this move is very low profile, and Millia is in the driver's seat. So, at the moment, you have a few things to think about as far as the wall. Do you actually want to break the wall? Most characters probably want to break the wall or keep it like one hit before and then break. Some characters, especially the characters whose win condition is knockdown to kill, they really don't want to break the wall except for specific circumstances. 2 is, what do you do when you do choose to break the wall? Do you use meter or not? Again, that's going to be dependent on how much meter your super gives to the opponent, whether or not you can reliably get good safe jumps, and how much advantage you have in that situation. And then the last thing to think about as far as the wall is that if you are playing a character that wants to keep the wall and doesn't want to break the wall, you will have to understand relatively in depth the wall splat system, probably have like stable ways of doing it, and then just check things by character. Any questions? Any questions, fellas? So this is the same kind of thing. It's a combination of the slump being a special state, and then you freezing their inputs with the super. This one was pretty strong. It wasn't that common to get, but this is basically the closest thing I could think of to in GG history to this thing. And in Exerd, it was a thing for a little bit, and then they nerfed it.